So I went vegan after a cancer scare in college, and my whole focus was on my health. I adopted a whole food plant-based diet, and for my first year as a vegan, I felt really healthy, but I also really wanted to change how I looked in the mirror. I wanted to lose some body fat and felt like I was doing everything right with my nutrition, but still wasn't seeing the results that I wanted. I was honestly feeling pretty frustrated and burnt out. It wasn't until I started doing these 10 simple weight loss habits that I'll be sharing in this video that I finally started to see some real progress. Over the next year, I dropped 25 pounds of body fat while building lean vegan muscle, and I haven't looked back. And this isn't just my story. As the founder of the Vegan Superhero Academy, the world's top-rated vegan health and fitness program, my team and I have used these exact same habits to help thousands of our clients to lose weight and, most importantly, keep it off for good. So know that these habits don't just work for me. They're proven strategies backed by science and the results of thousands of people just like you. So let's dive in and learn the 10 habits that make vegan fat loss simple, satisfying, and most importantly, sustainable. Habit number 1, stick to a sustainable calorie target. I know it's kind of boring to talk about calories, but we're starting here because science has proven that calories are the most important thing to get right for fat loss. And in my opinion, calories are really nothing to fear. They're simply a form of energy. When you eat more calories than your body needs, that extra energy gets stored as body fat. Think of it like filling up a fuel tank, but instead of gasoline, your body stores this energy as body fat. It holds this fuel in two main areas: visceral fat, which wraps around your organs, and subcutaneous fat, which sits just beneath your skin. Visceral fat is the more dangerous kind. It's strongly linked to heart disease, type 2 diabetes, and other metabolic issues. Even if you don't have much visible fat, high levels of visceral fat can still put your health at risk. If your body burns 2,500 calories in a day and you eat 2,000 calories, that 500 calorie gap gets pulled from stored body fat. It takes about 3,500 calories to lose 1 pound of fat, so a 500 calorie daily deficit can help you drop around 1 pound per week. The size of your calorie deficit plays a big role in your results, and the optimal number depends on you. But for most people, eating 15 to 25% below their maintenance level works really well. This range helps you to lose body fat at a steady pace without feeling deprived or miserable. And I've certainly spent a lot of time feeling miserable while focusing on fat loss. I don't know about you, but I get super hangry, so it can be challenging to maintain a large deficit. For example, if you burn 2,500 calories and eat 2,500 calories per day on average, then you will maintain your current weight. But if you eat 2,000 calories and burn 2,500 calories, then you are in a 500 calorie deficit, or 20% below maintenance. Now, I know this might be an unpopular opinion, but I'm a big believer in slow-ish sustainable fat loss. One of the biggest reasons I see people struggle to lose weight and keep it off is that they swing between extremes: slashing calories too low, depriving themselves until they can no longer stand it, and then crashing hard. That is not a willpower problem. It's actually your body doing exactly what it's designed to do. When calories drop too low, your hunger hormones go up, your energy levels go down, and fat loss becomes harder to sustain. That's why the real key is consistency, not intensity. You want a fat loss approach that protects your metabolism, preserves your lean muscle mass, and is enjoyable and sustainable. If you would like to know your ideal calorie target for fat loss that's totally personalized to you, plus a bunch of other key nutrients that you should really be mindful of on a plant-based diet, then you should check out our free plant-based nutrition calculator. It only takes a few minutes to get your custom nutrition targets based on the latest science and most advanced metabolic formulas. There's a link to this free calculator in the description. How to lose weight without counting calories. Before we go any further, I want to be clear. Maintaining a calorie deficit is essential for fat loss, but that doesn't mean that you have to count calories to get results. We help many of our clients lose weight without counting calories by teaching them how to tune into their body's natural signals using a tool called the Hunger Fullness Scale. It's a simple 1 to 10 scale that helps you stay in tune with your body. A 1 means you're painfully hungry, and a 10 means you're painfully full. For fat loss, try to start eating around a 3 when you're clearly hungry but not starving, and stop around a 6 or 7 when you're satisfied but not full. If you're looking for a more mindful, less numbers focused approach to fat loss, this tool can be a total game changer. Now, personally, I don't track my nutrition anymore. After years of practice, I've learned how to eat intuitively in a way that supports my health and fitness goals, and that's a really important skill to develop. Our goal is to help all of our clients reach a point where they can maintain the results and feel great without needing to track every bite, and I highly recommend that you focus on the same. Habit 2. Build every meal around 15 to 25 grams of protein. I used to eat a low protein diet, and looking back, that was the number one mistake that I made as a vegan trying to get lean and fit. Here's a photo of me and my mom around that time enjoying one of our super healthy plant-based dinners. Despite my best efforts with my nutrition and training, I had more body fat than I wanted and less muscle mass than I wanted. So overall, I had very little confidence in how I looked or felt. It wasn't until later that I learned how important protein is for getting lean and toned. Protein helps to keep you full, burns more calories during digestion than carbs or fats, and helps you to preserve lean muscle during fat loss. When protein becomes the foundation of your meals, fat loss gets easier, more satisfying, and a whole lot more sustainable. As a general rule, aim for at least 0.7 grams of protein per pound of body weight or 1.5 grams per kilogram. For best results, 0.8 grams per pound is ideal, and these numbers assume that you're exercising regularly. If you're over 20% body fat as a male or over 30% body fat as a female, then use your target body weight, not your current weight, to estimate your needs. For most women aiming for a healthy weight between 120 and 160 pounds, that comes out to roughly 90 to 125 grams of protein per day to support optimal fat loss. Now, if you have trouble hitting your target protein intake, don't worry about it, just work to prioritize protein. To hit your daily protein goal, build each meal around a main protein source that provides 15 to 25 grams of protein. Once you add up all the smaller amounts of protein from your veggies, your carbs, and other ingredients in your meals, you'll typically end up between 20 and 40 grams of protein per meal. When I build a fat loss meal, I focus on 3 key components, and component 1 is a main protein source. Your protein source is the foundation of your plate because it helps you to preserve lean muscle, keeps you full, and makes it easier to stay in a calorie deficit without feeling deprived. So aim for 15 to 25 grams of protein in your main protein source, which should take up about a quarter of your plate. And just to be clear, this is not a rigid formula. Your meals don't need to be cut into perfect sections. For example, I often have oatmeal for breakfast with berries and a scoop of peanut butter protein powder. The protein powder gives me about 20 grams of protein, even though it doesn't take up a visible quarter of the bowl. This is just a general visual guideline to help you build your fat loss plates. Here's some great high protein options to build your meals around. Extra firm tofu is my go-to protein source, and it has about 20 grams of protein per half block. I use tofu all of the time, but if you're avoiding soy, then don't worry about it, you can still crush your protein goals. We actually have a soy-free high-protein meal prep on our channel if you want some recipe inspiration. Next up, we have another favorite of mine, which is edamame pasta. Explore Cuisine makes a delicious edamame and mung bean fettuccine pasta that packs 24 grams of protein per 2 ounces dry. TVP, or textured vegetable protein, is another great high protein option. Our homemade veggie burger, which is made with TVP, has around 17 grams of protein per patty. I'm also a big fan of soy curls, which are kind of like TVP's cousin. They're incredibly versatile, totally shelf stable, and really delicious in the air fryer. With 15 grams of protein per 160 calories, over a third of their calories come from protein, making them a solid choice for a main protein source. Lupini beans are a solid soy-free protein-packed snack with 20 grams per 5-ounce bag if you get the ones from Brahmi. Now, I don't usually build full meals around lupini beans, but they're perfect for travel or snacking on the go. Tempeh is another solid protein option with 18 grams per 3-ounce serving. Now, I'm not a huge fan of tempeh's taste on its own. I'm definitely on team tofu, but throw on some barbecue or teriyaki sauce and it's really delicious. Edamame beans are great as well. 2/3 of a cup gives you roughly 12 grams of protein, and they're super satisfying with just a little salt. Vegan meat alternatives like Beyond Burgers or Gardein chicken strips can also help to hit your protein intake. A Beyond Burger has 18 grams of protein, and just 2 Gardein strips have about 15. Now, I don't normally eat these products myself, but if you enjoy them, then they're a solid protein option. Lentils are a daily staple for me. 2/3 of a cup gives you around 12 grams of protein. They're not as high in protein quality as some of our other options, but they're a fantastic soy-free base that works in tons of meals. And finally, we have seitan. It's another soy-free favorite with just 2 ounces delivering around 18 grams of protein for just 90 calories. It's super versatile and surprisingly easy to make at home. Component 2. Veggies and fruits for volume and nutrition. Next, we're going to fill half of our plate with non-starchy vegetables and low-sugar fruits. These foods are packed with fiber and nutrients, add volume to your meals, and help you to stay full on fewer calories. Some great options include broccoli, spinach, kale, bell peppers, zucchini, cauliflower, and berries. And don't overthink the portions here. If you want to add some extra broccoli, cucumbers, or zucchini, go for it. These low-calorie, high-fiber foods actually make it easier to stay on track with your goals. That's the real advantage of low-calorie, high-fiber foods. The more volume you can eat for fewer calories, the more satisfied you'll feel while still losing body fat. And then component 3 is carbs to fuel your body and add satisfaction to your meals. We're going to fill the final quarter of our plate with carbohydrates. Carbs are your body's preferred energy source, and your brain depends on them. Here's a fun fact. Even though your brain only makes up about 2% of your body weight, it's the most energy demanding organ that you have. It uses around 110 grams of carbs per day, which is about 440 calories, just to function properly. Carbs also add satisfaction, variety, and balance to your meals. Focus on whole food carbs most of the time, but there's definitely room for your favorite comfort carbs when used mindfully. Some great options include sweet potatoes, brown rice, quinoa, oats, and beans. And for some more flexible options, you can have some pasta, bread, or your other favorites. Just be sure to enjoy those in moderation. I call this the vegan fat loss plate. And no, your meals don't need to look exactly like this every time. This is just a simple guide for how fat loss meals should typically be structured. This is not about perfection, it's about creating a sustainable, flexible framework that actually works for you. When your meals are satisfying, well-balanced, and high in volume, fat loss becomes way easier to stick with because you're not starving or constantly thinking about food. The vegan fat loss plate helps you to build nutrient-rich meals that naturally support your calorie and protein goals without needing to overthink every bite. Hey, real quick, before we jump into habit number 3, if this video is bringing you value, then please be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell so you never miss our best vegan health and fitness content. We put a lot of effort into making these videos, and it really helps our channel grow to reach more people. Alright, now back to the video. Habit 3. Use the 80-20 rule. Once you have the structure of your meals in place with a vegan fat loss plate, the next step is learning how to apply that structure consistently in real life. And that means making some room for flexibility. Let me be really clear. You do not need to be perfect to see fat loss results. In fact, trying to eat perfectly all the time is what causes many people to burn out and give up. And that's why we recommend our 80-20 vegan flexible eating plan. Aim to get about 80% of your calories from whole, nutrient-rich plant foods and leave 20% for fun foods, whether that's vegan pizza, chocolate, or a scoop of dairy-free ice cream. Here's an example of the 80-20 approach in action. About 80% of the calories come from mostly whole, nutrient-rich foods like oatmeal with berries, a homemade TVP burger with carrots and hummus, an apple with PB Fit, which is powdered peanut butter mixed in water, and chickpea pasta with salad. The remaining 20% of calories come from 4 Oreos and a scoop of non-dairy ice cream. This shows that your favorite foods can still fit into a fat loss plan when enjoyed in moderation. Now, you are welcome to adjust the 80-20 split to fit your goals and lifestyle. If you prefer a more whole foods based diet, then you might aim for a 90-10 balance. If you struggle to eat enough calories, which is rare but it can happen, especially for those focused on building muscle, then a 70-30 approach might make things easier for you. This mindset shift is key to building a sustainable nutrition strategy. It removes the all or nothing pressure and gives you the freedom to enjoy special occasions, meals out, and comfort foods without guilt. One slice of cake or a date night dinner will not derail your progress as long as it stays the exception and not the norm. And that cupcake was so good. That said, when those moments turn into consistent weekend overeating, they can quietly stall your progress. Even a few high-calorie days can offset an otherwise solid week of eating, which is why balance and awareness matter. Here's how I personally practice this. Honestly, no foods are completely off limits to me. I found that when I label foods as off limits, it only fuels cravings and makes me more likely to binge them, which is not aligned with my health goals. I do practice moderation with some of my vices like tortilla chips, which I super love, by not buying them every time I go grocery shopping, but for the most part I stay flexible and leave room in my diet for foods that I love, like pizza. Here's a real life example. I made a simple lettuce salad with oil-free balsamic dressing. It wasn't the most nutrient-dense salad, but it worked with what I had available. Then I made a homemade barbecue pizza with tofurkey chicken pieces and diced bell peppers. That gave me about 15 grams of protein from the tofurkey. Even though this meal wasn't necessarily perfect, it still loosely followed the vegan fat loss plates. Tofurkey chicken as our main protein source, the lettuce salad for our veggies, and the pizza dough for our carbs. It was balanced and it was really delicious. So you don't need to give up your favorite foods to lose body fats. You just need to be intentional. By choosing higher protein, lower calorie alternatives and paying attention to portions, you can still enjoy meals that satisfy your cravings and move you toward your goals. And to help you out, I put together a free recipe book with all my favorite fat loss friendly recipes, like vegan pizza, pasta, tacos, burgers, ice cream, nachos, and more. You can download it for free using the link in the description. Bonus tip, front load your meal with water and veggies. As a quick bonus tip, if you struggle with feeling hungry all the time, which I can totally relate to, then I recommend that you start your meal by drinking a glass of water and eating your vegetables. Beginning with high fiber, low calorie foods helps to fill you up and makes the rest of your meal more satisfying. Personally, I like to eat my meals in order, starting with the food I like least and ending with the food I like most. So as an example, starting with water and broccoli and finishing with some yummy soy curls. No offense, Mr. Broccoli. Starting with water and broccoli and finishing with some yummy soy curls. Habit 4. Rotate through a few favorite meals. One of the simplest things that's made a big difference for me in building sustainable healthy eating habits is finding 2 or 3 breakfasts, lunches, and dinners that I genuinely love and then just rotating through them based on what I'm in the mood for. That's what most fit people I know do, especially those who eat intuitively and stay lean year-round. It keeps things easy, satisfying, and consistent. Now think about your favorite meal. Maybe it's pizza, pasta, tacos, or something else. If you could eat that meal a few times a week with different flavors or toppings, would you really get tired of it? I'm guessing you probably wouldn't. And that's the power of this habit. When your meals are simple, enjoyable, and actually support your fat loss goals, then you'll want to keep eating them. Now, this doesn't mean that you have to eat the exact same thing every day. The idea is to create a small rotation of your favorite meals that you enjoy and adjust based on how you're feeling. For me, I actually do eat the same main meals most days, often for months at a time. Not because I have to, but because it's easy, I enjoy the food, and it saves me time. I mix in variety with snacks like fresh fruit, popcorn, or pretzels, and I always leave room for flexibility like pizza night or switching it up when I travel. So while the structure stays consistent, there's still plenty of flexibility, and that's what makes it sustainable for me. There are also some other really big benefits to keeping your meal rotation simple. For one, it reduces decision fatigue. You don't have to constantly figure out what you're going to eat. I've been eating basically the same meals every day for the past few months, and honestly, it feels really freeing. When your meals are on autopilot, then you free up mental space for everything else. The next thing is that it makes grocery shopping a whole lot easier. You can buy in bulk, which saves money and wastes less food because you know exactly what you're going to use. It also helps you to become more intuitive. When you eat the same meals all the time, then you dial in your portions. You kind of build a visual sense of how much food you need, so you don't really need to rely on tracking every bite. And finally, it makes meal prep more efficient. I like to batch cook healthy meal building blocks like tofu, lentils, broccoli, and cauliflower and store them in Pyrex containers so I can mix and match my meals more easily without overthinking it. And even if you're eating a lot of the same meals, you don't need to eat anything plain or boring. Keep experimenting until you find a few go-to meals that you really enjoy and align them with a vegan fat loss plate to the best of your ability. There are tons of low-calorie sauces that add flavor without adding many calories, and they make a huge difference. I'll share a few of my favorites in just a bit. Now, I know this is all easier said than done if you have a family, especially if you're the main cook in your household, but it's still totally doable. You can find healthy meal components that your whole family enjoys, like a go-to sauteed veggie dish or a quinoa salad that you can make on repeat. Then you can swap out the main protein source depending on dietary preferences. So as an example, you could have grilled tofu, and if they don't want to have a vegan protein source, then they can have some grilled chicken. It's simple, flexible, and still aligned with your goals. Habit 5. Avoid hitting calories. One of the biggest fat loss traps people fall into is accidentally consuming a ton of hidden calories throughout the day. These often come from things like cooking oil, salad dressings, spreads, and condiments. They may seem small, but they add up really fast and can quietly cancel out your calorie deficit. When you're trying to lose body fat, there's not a lot of room for error. A few bites here and there can be the difference between steady progress and staying stuck. Here's an example. Maybe you have a small handful of almonds while working. That's 170 calories. Then you add 100 calories of Earth Balance to your toast without thinking about it, 65 calories of creamer to your afternoon coffee, and 180 calories worth of oil while cooking dinner. That's 515 extra calories completely unaccounted for. And if you're aiming for a 500 calorie deficit per day, that alone is enough to completely halt your fat loss progress. Again, you do not need to be perfect, but if you want to make consistent progress, then you do need to stay aware. Paying closer attention to hitting calories is one of the easiest ways to tighten up your nutrition and start seeing better results without changing everything. One of the easiest ways to make your meals more enjoyable without loading up on hitting calories is to use low-calorie sauces and seasonings. The key here is to avoid options loaded with oil, sugar, or nuts. Things like peanut sauce, cashew queso, or creamy dressings might taste amazing, but they're packed with hidden calories and can quietly stall your fat loss progress. That doesn't mean your food has to be plain or boring. There are tons of flavorful, fat loss friendly options that can level up your meals without slowing you down. Here are a few of my go-to low-calorie sauces and seasonings. Bragg's oil-free vinaigrette is great for salads and roasted veggies. Liquid aminos or coconut aminos are awesome on rice, tofu, and stir fries. Nutritional yeast adds a cheesy, savory flavor, plus bonus B12 and protein. And then Table Tasty is my current favorite salt-free seasoning blend, which is super flavorful without any sodium. If you want more ideas, I've included a full list of my favorite sauces and seasonings for fat loss along with all of the recipes in the recipe book. And don't forget about liquid calories. Even healthy drinks like smoothies or fresh pressed juice can quietly add hundreds of calories, especially if you're not paying attention to portions. Generally speaking, they don't keep you full the same way that solid food does, so it's easy to drink more than you realize. Cutting back on liquid calories can save the average person 200 to 500 calories a day, enough to turn a plateau into steady fat loss. Go for low or zero calorie options like water with lemon, herbal tea, or a Zevia soda if you want something sweet. Small changes in awareness can lead to big changes in results. You don't need to overhaul everything, just start noticing where sneaky calories are hiding and make swaps that support your goals. Habit number 6, create a low temptation environment. One of the fastest ways to derail your fat loss progress is to wait until you're hungry to decide what to eat. When you are tired, stressed, or low on willpower, you are much more likely to give into cravings and convenience, even when those choices do not align with your goals. That is why your environment matters so much. Setting up a low temptation environment reduces decision fatigue, limits cravings, and makes it much easier to stick with the habits that support your progress. Here's a quick story that shows just how powerful this shift can be. So I really love Cliff Bars, especially peanut butter Cliff Bars. Despite my best intentions, I would often end up with a box or two of them in my cart every time I walked through the energy bar aisle of my local grocery store. A few years ago, I remember having a particularly unhealthy week. And one evening, while working late at my desk around 2 a.m., which is also not a healthy choice, I suddenly noticed a half-eaten Cliff Bar in my hand. I then looked around and saw a dozen wrappers scattered around my desk. I had literally binge eaten a dozen Cliff Bars in just one evening. And that moment hit me really hard. I realized that my Cliff Bar habit was seriously undermining my health and fitness goals. So the next time I went to the grocery store, I completely avoided the energy bar aisle. I didn't even glance down the aisle because I was afraid that I lacked the willpower to resist the magnetic pull of Cliff Bars. Somehow I walked out of the store without buying a single Cliff Bar. And then a strange thing happened. I didn't eat a single Cliff Bar that entire week. How is that possible? I had literally eaten a few per day every single day for the past several months. The answer was painfully obvious. I didn't eat any Cliff Bars because I didn't have any in my house. And I didn't have any in my house because I didn't put them in my grocery cart. Meanwhile, those apples that I bought as a replacement snack did get eaten. With one simple swap, I had starved a negative habit and fed a positive one. I call this the law of grocery carts, which states, whatever you put in your cart will get eaten. Whatever you do not put in your cart will not get eaten. That experience taught me that fat loss is not about strengthening your willpower. It is about creating an environment that makes the right choice the easy choice. When you stop relying on discipline and start surrounding yourself with better options, everything changes. Here are a few simple ways to do that. For one, you can keep a handful of healthy prep staples in your fridge that you genuinely enjoy. For me, that includes cooked lentils, roasted broccoli, baked cauliflower, and tofu salad. You can also keep your kitchen stocked with other foods that support your goals. And avoid buying trigger foods that tend to pull you off track, like peanut butter Cliff Bars do for me. I'd also recommend that you store treats or less nutritious foods out of sight, maybe at the top of your pantry, instead of directly on the counter where you're going to see it all the time. I also recommend that you pack tons of healthy snacks for travel, errands, or long work days to avoid relying on convenience foods, and my go-to snacks include apples, bananas, fava beans, and lupini beans. And finally, I think it's really important to keep a grocery list on your phone so you can shop with purpose and avoid impulse buys. Again, fat loss does not require perfection. It requires consistency, and that begins with an environment designed to help you succeed. Habit 7. Get more steps. When it comes to fat loss, walking might be one of the most underrated tools out there. It's low impact, requires no equipment, and doesn't leave you feeling drained like high-intensity workouts. It's sustainable, gentle on your body, and almost always enjoyable, especially if you walk outside. A 20-minute walk adds about 2,000 steps to your day and burns around 80 to 100 calories for most adults. Done daily, that adds up to 600 to 700 calories a week, or around 10 pounds of fat loss per year. So it might seem small, but over time, a consistent walking habit can make a huge difference. And the benefits go far beyond burning calories. Walking improves your blood sugar, it supports heart health, and it also lowers your stress. So let's talk about how to make walking part of your daily routine. The fitness world often talks about getting 10,000 steps a day, but that's not realistic for everyone. If you're currently walking very little, then jumping to 10,000 steps can feel really overwhelming. So actually, a better approach is to start from where you are and build up slowly. So you can check your phone or a fitness tracker if you have one to find your average daily step count. That's going to be your starting points. Then you're going to aim to increase your steps by 1,000 to 2,000 per day each week until you're consistently hitting 8,000 to 10,000 steps. And if you're not sure where to start, then just add 20 minutes of purposeful walking per day. Even 10 minutes equals about 1,000 steps. So here are 3 simple ways to get more steps. 1. Walk after meals. Even just 10 minutes of walking after your meal can improve digestion and help stabilize your blood sugar. 2. Walk during your daily routine. You can take calls, listen to podcasts, or break up work blocks with a quick walk. I work from home and I take most of my meetings while walking using a small under-desk treadmill. It's been a game changer for staying active without needing to add extra walk time. And 3. Add micro movements throughout your day. I recommend that you set a timer to move every hour. Those short bursts of movement can really add up and could easily translate to a few extra miles of movement and therefore hundreds of extra calories burned per day. Habit 8. Eat your last meal early and prioritize sleep. When it comes to fat loss, quality sleep is crucial. Your evening routine can either support your progress or quietly work against it. For many people, poor sleep is actually the hidden factor that holds them back. Sleep is not just for rest and recovery. It plays a vital role in regulating your metabolism, hunger hormones, and even decision making. Poor sleep increases ghrelin, the hormone that makes you feel hungry, and decreases leptin, the hormone that signals fullness. Poor sleep also increases insulin resistance, which makes it easier to store fat and harder to manage your cravings. One of the simplest ways to improve your sleep and fat loss is to finish your last meal well before bedtime. Research shows that eating within 3 hours of going to bed is linked with more frequent night wakenings and poor quality of sleep. So do your best to finish your last meal at least 3 hours before bed. Once that feels natural, then aim for 4 or more hours. This gives your body time to digest, supports melatonin production, which is your sleep hormone, and can help to reduce late night hunger, especially if your meals throughout the day are balanced and satisfying. Pair this with better nighttime habits, and you'll likely notice meaningful improvements in your sleep, energy, and fat loss results. Here are 7 other simple habits to improve your sleep. First, keep your bedroom cool and dark. Set the temperature between 65 and 68 degrees. Use blackout curtains or an eye mask to block out light, which delays melatonin production. Number 2, use mouth tape. I absolutely love using mouth tape to keep me from breathing through my mouth at night. It might sound a little weird, but it has been a game changer for my sleep quality. And if you don't know anything about this, then I highly recommend that you read the book Breath by James Nestor to learn more. Number 3, avoid caffeine after 2 p.m. Caffeine lingers in your system for hours and can interfere with your sleep even if you don't feel wired. Number 4, create a consistent wind down routine. Spend the last 30 to 60 minutes before bed doing something that calms you down, like reading, journaling, stretching, or deep breathing. Number 5, turn off screens at least an hour before bedtime. Blue light from phones, tablets, and TVs suppresses melatonin, making it harder to fall asleep and stay asleep. Number 6, stick to a consistent sleep schedule. Go to bed and wake up at the same time every day, even on weekends. This helps to regulate your internal clock and improve sleep quality. And then number 7, avoid alcohol. Alcohol disrupts sleep cycles and reduces deep restorative sleep. It also adds extra calories, which can quietly stall your fat loss progress. Habit 9, use the reset rule. One of our clients, Erin, used to struggle with an all or nothing mindset. If she had a rough day and grabbed takeout for dinner, then she would write off the entire week. One missed workout turned into 5, one unplanned treat turned into 3 days of snacking and low motivation, and she often told herself, I already messed up, so I'll just start fresh next Monday. When Erin joined our program, we introduced her to something that we call the reset rule. It is a simple but powerful mindset shift. If you get off track, whether that means skipping a workout, overeating, or missing a key health habit, then you simply reset the next day. No guilt, no spiraling, just a calm return to the health habits and routine that support your goals. One slip is never the problem. The real issue is letting that slip turn into a pattern. So the next time that Erin skipped a workout and ate fast food for dinner, she remembered the reset rule. Instead of falling back into her old patterns, she got up the next morning, did a workout, and made a healthy breakfast. She didn't try to make up for the night before, she simply got back into her routine. It wasn't perfect, but it was exactly what she needed to rebuild momentum. That one mindset shift changed everything for Erin. She stopped chasing perfection and she started focusing on consistency. Now, she still had moments that didn't go according to plan, but she no longer let those define her. She gave herself grace and then she gave herself a reset. And that is where real progress begins. Not with perfect weeks, but with giving yourself grace and hitting the reset button when needed. So here's how I practice this. Over the past few years, I've been regularly practicing the reset rule, and it's made a huge difference in my life. Now, I'm certainly not perfect, but I have gotten a lot better at giving myself grace while still holding myself accountable. To make the reset rule really practical for you, here are two questions I like to ask myself when I get off track. 1. What is the one key health habit that I can focus on tomorrow that will create a cascade of better health choices? And then 2. What can I do today to set myself up for success tomorrow? For me, both of these questions usually come back to one thing, which is getting in my morning workout. When I lift weights, run, or bike first thing in the morning, it really sets the tone for my entire day. The best way I can set myself up for success is by getting to sleep early enough, almost always by 10 p.m., so I have time to exercise before work. Here are a few ways that you can set yourself up for success tomorrow. You can go to bed 30 minutes earlier than usual. You can prepare your breakfast and lunch for tomorrow. You can go grocery shopping if you're currently low on healthy foods. You can lay out your workout clothes the night before, and you can tell someone your plan for extra accountability. And that last point actually leads me to our final habit, habit 10, build your accountability circle. Willpower is great until it runs out, and it always does run out. That is why relying on motivation alone is not a long-term strategy. If you want fat loss to feel easier and more consistent, then you need structure, support, and real accountability, especially when life gets busy. I was reminded of this recently. For the first few months of 2025, I had only averaged a single workout per week. As someone leading a health and fitness company, that was really tough to admit. But during a client call where we were all reflecting on our wins and struggles, I just decided to be honest and I told them the truth. That I'd only been working out once a week so far this year. But then I said, I'm committing right now to working out tomorrow morning and I'll post photo proof in our group chat. That moment changed everything for me. The next morning, I wasn't more motivated and my schedule was just as full. But I followed through because I had created a high accountability environment that made it easier for me to show up. That moment sparked a 100-day and counting streak of daily movement, lifting, running, and biking. I feel better physically than I have in years, and it all started with a single moment of vulnerability followed by a commitment to accountability. That is the power of accountability. When you are surrounded by people who challenge you, support you, and expect you to show up, your odds of success go way up. Here are a few powerful ways to build a circle of accountability around you. For one, it's really important to tell someone your goal. Share your goal with a friend, a coach, or even post it publicly. The more people you tell, the stronger your commitment will become. In 2020, I told our podcast listeners that I was going to complete Ironman Maryland in 2021. The stress of working and training was really intense, and I'm honestly not sure that I would have followed through if I had just kept the goal to myself. But I did follow through, I crossed the finish line and achieved a lifelong dream because I made it public and stayed accountable. Number 2, join a community that shares your goals. Whether it's a group chat, a coaching program, or a local fitness group, being part of something bigger makes the process feel easier, more enjoyable, and much more sustainable. You're far more likely to stay on track when you're surrounded by others striving toward the same kind of goals. And then number 3, you should get a coach. There is nothing more powerful than having someone in your corner every step of the way. Someone who really cares about you and knows exactly what you need to do to accomplish your goals. A great coach brings experience, structure, and honest feedback. And most importantly, they believe in your potential and hold you to a higher standard, especially when your motivation is low. Ideally, you should do all three. Fat loss does not have to feel like a lonely grind. When you have the right people and systems in place, consistency becomes your default, and then the results will follow. As a wise man once said, accountability is the glue that ties commitment to results. So now you know my top 10 fat loss habits. But before we wrap up, let's talk about something no one really covers. What happens after fat loss. You see, most people treat their goal weight like the finish line, but the real transformation begins after you get there. Once our clients reach their fat loss goals, they're often able to eat 500 more calories a day without regaining weight. That means more food, more flexibility, and more freedom. No more yo-yo dieting, no more starting over, just results that last. And it gets even better. As they continue their journey, their metabolism speeds up, they feel more energized, and their bodies feel stronger and more capable. And for the first time in years, it actually feels like their body is working with them, not against them. We see this shift happen every day in our program. So if things feel hard for you right now, know that you are not alone. A lot of our clients felt the same way before they joined our program. But with the right strategy and support, everything starts to click and they actually begin to enjoy the process. You don't have to figure it out alone. We've helped thousands of vegans lose fat, build confidence, and create a lifestyle they truly love. The Vegan Superhero Academy is the only vegan coaching program led by a medical doctor, a registered dietitian, and a team of certified vegan health coaches. So if you're ready to take out the guesswork, build lasting habits that fit into your busy life, not take it over, and be supported every step of the way, then this is your opportunity. And to make this decision super easy, we offer something that no other program does: a 100% money back guarantee. So you've got nothing to lose except some body fat and everything to gain. Click the link in the description to learn if the Vegan Superhero Academy is the right fit for you. I hope to see you in the Vegan Superhero Academy and maybe even meet you at a future Vegan Superhero Retreat. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that I brought you a ton of value. Please be sure to like and subscribe so you never miss our future content, and I'll see you in the next video.